Hi, everybody. A good Monday evening to you. Happy President's Day. Boy, do we have a winter storm moving through Northwest Indiana. We've got widespread snow. We had the lake effect snow earlier today, which is now back towards Chicago, just hammering downtown right now. This snow continues tonight, and then we deal with more lake effect and cold as we go on into your Northwest Indiana Tuesday. How about that? I've got some light at the end of the tunnel I'm going to show you, and we're going to talk about current conditions and where we go from here, all in this Monday night special edition of Region Weather Live. Hi there, everybody. Thanks for joining in here on Region Weather Live. Boy, what a day, right? I just got done with about 6.5 hours of coverage here on our local station. I've been staring at models since the morning, so I may be a little stumbly over my words. I haven't had dinner yet, but I wanted to get this update in for you, just so you know what to expect the rest of the evening. Obviously, the storm is ongoing. You can look outside your window, but when does this end? And how much more snow can we expect? Those are the questions we're going to answer here. I want to welcome everyone in. I want to say hi to everybody. Jackie, hi Derek, hi Mark, hello there, Andrea watching in Valpo, and hi to Vicky coming out of, actually didn't say where you were. We've got some Crown Point and South Haven viewers on there as well. And Brendan saying horrible in Rensselaer. The wind is crazy as well. We've got it all for us here in the region. So let's get right to it, shall we? If you are new to Region Weather, we always have new people on here that message me after the show and say exactly, what they think of the show. Most of it's positive. That's the good news, except for the weather forecast. But if you're new to us here on the broadcast, we are Northwest Indiana centric. We don't focus on Chicago. We focus on Northwest Indiana. And that's it, because we tend to live in the Chicago news spotlight, and we are our own little microclimate here, right? We deserve our own weather, and that's exactly what we focus on. I also don't like to hype things as well. If it's just some snow, I'm just going to say it's some snow, right? We're going to keep things real here. So keeping it real with this forecast, we've got some pretty decent snow falling outside. Everyone is seeing snow right now. You can see down at the bottom of your screen, I've got scrolling what the forecast is going to be. We'll talk accumulations coming up as well. But this is going to go through the overnight hours. Then we talk some lake effect tomorrow. Then this is all out of here. We'll be done with it. All right, so here we go. This is what we're thinking in terms of the models here. This is where we're at right about now. All right, we've got a big area of low pressure wrapping up down to our south and the east. That low has tracked a little bit further west than what the models were thinking 2 days ago, and just a little bit less to the west than what models were thinking yesterday. But that shift has been towards the west. So what that's done for us here in the region has brought us just a widespread snow as expected. If you joined us last night, I was thinking a general 4 to 8 inches out of this for everybody, and I'm still holding to that. I think a general 4 to 8 is what we're going to end up with if you're away from the snow belt. Now, where is the snow belt? We've got Lake, Porter, and LaPorte counties. That's my snow belt county when I'm talking about you. And then if you divide those counties up, if you're close to the lake shore, that's where we're going to see the bulk of the lake effect from this. And again, this will be tomorrow. And then as you get away from that, obviously you'll see lesser amounts. So 4 to 8 for everyone tonight. I'm just going to come right out and say it. And then tomorrow we may tack on some more as this lake effect comes back. And that would be near the lake shore in our snowbelt counties. So Lake Porter, LaPorte County. So that's kind of the broad synopsis. But here you go. That snow has been coming down heavy in Chicago. We watched it this morning shift to the west as expected. Lake effect never behaves as expected, but it did compared to our forecast. That's the good news. That doesn't always happen. But that lake effect is now heading right into downtown Chicago, and that's on top of the snow. So they are just getting nailed there. I'll show you some traffic information here in a second. But here goes this storm. As it winds up, we've got the area-wide snow probably for another 6 hours or so. I mean, this is going to be a decent event. And then tomorrow morning, you can see how it really starts to wind down as that low heads off towards the north and the east. And then we've got this leftover lake effect that will move from Chicago back into Northwest Indiana tomorrow during the day. And that could still be on the heavier side. We've seen some impressive totals out of this event with that lake effect. And then eventually that clears out. And look at this. That's not the main storm. We've got another storm that will develop that takes a very similar track on Thursday. That one looks, as of now, to be a little further south and east, so it won't bring us quite the impacts. We'll be lucky to get some snow out of that with the latest model runs, but we'll talk about that in another time. We may be dealing with another storm around here on Thursday. So let's get down to the local scale here. Here's what we're dealing with in terms of the lake effect band. You can see all this general snow here. This is the storm system snow. So we've got a moderate to occasionally heavy snow over the next couple hours. This will start to wrap up in terms of timing, likely 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I think we'll really start to say goodbye to the actual storm system snow. And this is tomorrow morning around rush hour. This is what it'll look like. System snow's pretty much gone. We've got a pretty intense lake effect band that will likely still be impacting Cook County. Lake County near Whiting, Hammond, you may be getting clipped by that tomorrow morning. So whatever's on the ground plus what's falling from that lake effect is still going to be problematic in terms of our forecast tomorrow. So a lot of people asking about school being canceled, etc. tomorrow. For those that are virtual, how's that work? That's a whole different question. But I do think with the snow going through about 2 or 3 in the morning, with the added lake effect, with the fact it's going to be just so darn cold tonight and tomorrow, I do think there's a real good chance of having some of that school cancellation activity going on. Let's just say that. So that's certainly up to play. I'm not your superintendent, but boy, it looks good. If we were to cancel school, I think tomorrow would be a good day. All right, so that lake effect ongoing in the morning. Then you can see as we go through the day, it shifts back into northwest Indiana, says this model, which is the HRRR. And then you can see, yeah, it's maybe offshore there. I think it'll come onshore. So we're talking impacts to Lake Porter and LaPorte County during the day tomorrow. And eventually that will start to wind down. Let's just, for kicks here, take a look at how much the HRRR is saying in terms of snow. I have not checked this yet. Hopefully it's in our 4 to 8 inch range, which it is. You can see it's got some pretty heavy amounts. It's got 4 to 8 inches, even some 9-inch totals here as you get away from the lake, and then heavier amounts right in here along the lake shore. The numbers aren't showing up for you in Whiting over towards Gary, Portage, and then eventually up towards Michigan City. But you can see we're talking maybe 8, 9 inches or so. So in terms of forecasting the snow, this is how much I'm expecting. You see it there at the bottom of the screen. I know a lot of people like to ask, what about my town? This should answer it for you. And, you know, the HRRR kind of agrees with my forecast here, but I think a general 4 to 8 inches as you get away from the snow belt and then close to the lakeshore right in here. This is through tomorrow afternoon. We could be dealing with, I think, 6 to 12. I think we could pop some more 10-inch totals out of that. And that's from this system alone. A lot of you have sent me pictures. I have forwarded those onto the Weather Service, and I appreciate those. But we're talking 20, 25 inches on the ground in spots. I know Chesterton got hit over the weekend and again last night. So we're certainly dealing with a lot of snow across portions of the region. Roads have been a mess as well. I know our snowplow crews have been doing a great job, but you know, there's only so much you can do when it's coming down so heavily. All right, so that's what we're looking at in terms of that. So I'm going to close these out. I want to show you traffic right now because it's a mess. I do not pay for a $20,000 a month traffic system, so I'm going to use Google Maps if that's okay. But I think this gives a real good idea of how slow the traffic is when you see the orange areas. Obviously, that is slow traffic. Look how messy it gets as you get up towards Chicago. This is where the heaviest snow is falling right now as we start to tie into that lake effect. The Borman is a mess, especially westbound as you get towards Klein Avenue, 41 there, and then eventually as you're getting up towards Chicago. Look at this. We've got just messy, messy roads. That's not just rush hour. I mean, that is literally snow cover because they've got heavy snow working in there as well. All right, we're going to open this up for questions because there's really not a whole lot more to forecast. Typically, when a storm system is a couple days out, what we're talking about is, you know, how that storm's going to go, what we think the results are going to be. Well, this storm's with us right now, so we know what the results are. It's snowing outside. The storm has made a nice hit for Northwest Indiana. It didn't miss us. And so we don't have a lot more to talk about other than that. So I'd be happy to answer your questions for you. The other thing I want to show you is this, folks. You're looking at, this was the good news I promised you, you're looking at next Wednesday's temperatures, right? Or at least perhaps. These are widespread 60s and 70s down to our south. Indianapolis, I think, will be right on that line. We'll see how this goes. I mean, this is a week away still, but it could change. But all the models point towards a nice warm-up. And we're really due. Our average temperature is up near 40 already. That means we could easily be 50, 60. We could easily be 20, 30s like we've been. And that would be even nice. But all signs point towards a nice spring-like warm-up in the Tennessee Valley, the Southern Plains, areas of Texas that are in the sub-zero temperatures tonight, setting records. Areas of Texas that got snow over the last 24 hours are going to be in the 80s next week. Talk about a flip, but certainly there's only one way you can go from where we are right now in terms of these really cold temperatures, and that is up. So this is something you would probably come to expect if you knew where we were. All right, so let's get into that. Leanna, I see your comment there. You are asking, did you mention temperatures? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about temps locally. It's going to be very cold tomorrow morning. Where I'm going to go with this briefly is we'll go a local scale for you if that's okay. And I promise my internet is blazing fast, but when I stream and I do this broadcast, it really slows things down and eventually things won't work. So let's get to this as soon as we can, shall we? And we'll go from there. For those that didn't join us last night, I hope you had a nice Valentine's Day, by the way. You know, certainly the map was all pink, and I was saying I didn't do that for Valentine's Day. I definitely didn't do that for Valentine's Day. That is the winter weather. All right, let's get in here and talk temps because we've got cold air coming on the backside of this system. I'm going to go to the right product here. Here we go. So tonight, I think will be cold. I think tomorrow night, I haven't looked yet, but I think tomorrow night will be the coldest because that's when the system clears out. We'll have some clearing skies, and that is the recipe for cold air. So here you go. Tonight, these are your overnight lows. Look at the difference. So we've got temperatures still in the teens where we have some of the lingering clouds and lake effect snow. Meanwhile, we're single digits elsewhere. That doesn't factor in the wind chills. And let's take a look at what happens tomorrow night because I have a feeling meteorologically that would be the coldest. And it has this cold. Look at these pockets that develop below zero. So we're going to be, I think, near zero tomorrow. That little blue area you see near Valparaiso and Michigan City, that's because it's expecting lake effect clouds. Whenever you have clouds, it actually helps to keep you warmer. If we clear out tomorrow night with all this snowpack, though, I could easily see us going below zero before we start to moderate our temps onto the weekend. So hope that helps there. And we'll go back to this model and we'll let it run in the background. And just to show you kind of the real estate that the storm system's taken up, there's about 2,000 miles of winter storm warnings with us, stretching from areas of Canada all the way down towards Texas, which they're wrapping it up down there. But what a mess this system was for sure. Okay, so let's answer some of your questions. Kristen, I like yours. Where's the groundhog? Good question. That little rascal. That's crazy. Let's see. Amanda asked a good question. Are you thinking St. John is in that snow belt you talk about? St. John certainly is in that snow belt. I think the heaviest snow is going to be just north of you, but it also depends on how strong that lake effect band is. If you get a stronger wind and a nice fetch, you can get that lake effect all the way down to Newton and Jasper counties. So St. John is in that band. I would probably say anywhere from 5 to 10 for you, just because you're kind of in between the snow belt zone where we're expecting that snow near the lakeshore and areas down to the south. Max asked a great question. Is this the grand finale of winter? You know, Max, that is a good question. That's a really good question. I don't think so. I think this is the grand finale to February because we've got a pattern shift after that. This has been a prolonged cold spell and prolonged playing with the polar vortex, essentially, and that helps to spin up these storms. But March, you know it. March produces some decent snowstorms around here because we start to bring in more warmth, and more warmth means more moisture, and we still have the cold air. So I don't think this is a grand finale, but as of now, this is going to put an end to the active weather here, at least these big storms for February. There's another one to watch this weekend, but that one's looking kind of on the rainier side. And again, we'll talk about that when the time comes. Erica's one of the great spotters that's been talking about some totals and sending pictures. Erica's got 22 inches of snowpack in North Valparaiso, so absolutely. Yeah, Jacob, Portage is definitely in that snow potential for sure. Roxanne, I think so. I think this will be the biggest storm of the week. That next storm looks a little further south in the east. I think we'll still get some snow from that. I'll be honest, I've been knee-deep in storm coverage today, so I haven't looked at the models in terms of how that storm's looking for Thursday. We'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll get into that tomorrow for sure. Erica, thanks for that update on Valpo schools. Chrissy asking totals for Crown Point. So I think for Crown Point, I think we'll be dealing with the general 4 to 8. We'll have to watch that lake effect tomorrow. That's on top of what we've already gotten. So that's from here. I think we get another 4 to 8 inches. Just because we say 4 to 8, though, keep in mind, don't always focus on that 8. We give you a range because snow doesn't fall evenly, and snow is 100 times more difficult to forecast than rain because we're not just forecasting how many snowflakes are falling. we're forecasting exactly what that snowfall looks like. Is it a little tiny fine snowflake? Is it a crystal, or is it one of the big fat fluffy flakes? That matters in terms of how much stacks up. So there's a lot that goes into forecasting snow. I don't think the general public, at least the ones that get at me on Twitter, I don't think they understand, and that's okay. No, Sarah, doesn't look like a great drive. I'm going to be completely honest. Andrew's driving too. I don't think that's going to be good either. Jimmy, one of our many snowplow drivers on here. Thank you guys for all you do. I'll tell you what, he's leaving for a while. He's been pretty tired. Patricia, sure, I would be glad to recap the rush hour tomorrow morning. So this snow's out of here overnight tonight. The system snow is. Everyone's going to get a general 4 to 8 from that. And then we're going to see more in the snow belt. So tomorrow morning, the snow system, the winter storms pushing out, we'll be watching a lake effect snow band in Chicago, which is there right now. That will kind of curve its way back into Lake Porter and then LaPorte counties during the day tomorrow. Wherever that band goes, you know how lake effect goes, we'll be getting some heavier totals, probably a couple more inches out of that. And then eventually that clears on out. So rush hour tomorrow, the only thing we'll really be watching is where that lake effect band sets up. And it would target Chicago and then Lake County first. And as we go throughout the day, Porter and LaPorte. Kurt, I'll put the totals back on there. We've got them scrolling at the bottom of the screen. 4 to 8 for everyone, 6 to 12 for the snow belt along the lake. That's pretty much what we're deciding here. All right, so we'll answer a couple more questions for you. Darren says, Matt, do you do this out of the goodness of your heart? But anyway, we can support this somehow. Darren, that's so sweet. You don't have to. I don't need support. That's fine. I do this out of the goodness of my heart, and I enjoy it. I've got friends and family in Northwest Indiana. We created this page a long time ago because Northwest Indiana didn't get the coverage, and I hated it. When I worked at Lakeshore Public Television, it was great, right? And then when we stopped broadcasting from there, I said, who's going to do weather for Northwest Indiana? Chicago certainly doesn't, right? They'll mention us, and then they're done with it. So, no, you do not need to support me in any way. I promise. We're good. So great question. Ken's asking about the wind. Let's go in and look at the wind. So the wind is gusty now. Just meteorologically speaking, I haven't looked at the models in terms of the wind, but the wind will continue tonight. It'll continue tomorrow morning. Then it should start to subside as high pressure looks in. But let's put some numbers on it. Let's give you some exact numbers so you can track that here. So here you go. We've got gusty winds tonight, 25, probably 30 mile per hour gusts at time tonight as that low pushes by. Here's tomorrow morning now. The wind has come down a little bit. We're talking 10 to 20. Blowing and drifting still going to be a problem, especially those rural areas tomorrow. And then look what happens by tomorrow later in the day. We start to subside that wind. That's good. Wherever that lake effect band is, keep in mind you have when you have a lake effect snow band, you have convergence. So wind is literally doing this. Can you see me? Okay, wind is literally doing this out over the lake, and it converges. So you tend to get a lot of lift where it converges. That's what creates our lake effect snow band. But you also get gusty winds. That's why the wind is gusty inside of some of those snow squalls, and you get outside of it, it's not. It's because of that converging winds, for sure. Chris, I love your comment. Why does Skilling say isobars at least 5 times and you haven't used it once? Chris, that's the best. That makes my night. Seriously. I love me some Skilling. I wish I had 8.5 minutes to do the weather forecast on TV. They're always telling me wrap. In fact, I've still got my IFB in from our broadcast. But, Skilling uses all sorts of words. I like to use user-friendly words. I call it that. But I can mention isobars a couple times if you really want. Kevin always asks the best questions. Are the Chicago Bears going to trade for a quarterback? Kevin, we'll see. Our sports segment's coming up on the other side of this weather segment. You know, sports is always after weather, so that's awesome. You guys are great. I love you guys, seriously. Andrew asking, what's the deal with the north wind considering the storm is coming from the south? Andrew, that's a wonderful weather question. I'm going to defer to Tom Skilling for that. I'm just kidding. So that's the difference between this storm and a lot of storms. A lot of storms, the wind, obviously flows where the low pressure is coming from. So we don't have the lake effect on top of this. But this storm system and the moisture is being driven by the jet stream, which is way up above in the atmosphere, right? 15 to 30,000 feet. So that's where the storm system's coming from. But the wind here at the surface in that area, low pressure, is still down to our south. So we've got the north wind with the jet stream pushing all this moisture in, if that makes sense. So it's not just about here at the surface where the wind's coming from, it's about how it stacks up in the atmosphere. And that's the reason why we've been able to keep this lake effect going. because we've had that north wind during this whole event. Anytime we get a low pressure like we have off to our east, that means we'll have a north or a northeast wind. So anytime you see a low off towards our east, you can typically count on lake effect snow if it's cold enough with that system, as long as there's enough moisture. Great question as well. Tyler, I don't think Valpo is going to get hammered. Everyone's in the same boat on this storm tonight. Another 4 to 8 inches tonight for everybody. There's no one special about that. So Valpo is going to get as much as Wheatfield, as much as Couts, as much as LaPorte over towards Maryville, right? It's the lake effect tomorrow that's going to set some people apart. And that lake effect will likely come back into Valparaiso tomorrow afternoon, maybe as early as tomorrow midday. We'll see when that band comes back. It doesn't look to be quite as intense later in the day, but I think in the morning we're still going to have a decent lake effect band as it comes back in. And that could give you a couple additional inches. We know how lake effect works. We got 10 inches of lake effect in Chesterton just from a little localized band over the weekend. So we'll continue to watch that. Oh, Vicky, a viewer from Lakeshore. We need our own channel. I know we do. This is my only way of getting you guys a channel here is, but you know, technology, what do we need, right? I've got weather models, we've got cameras, lights everywhere. You know, we could certainly do it, but Vicky, I appreciate that support as well. Oh, Heather, good question. So I broadcast in Cleveland now. So I took the route from Northwest Indiana. I was the chief meteorologist at WYIN for 7 years. And then I went down to Georgia at an NBC station there. And now I'm at NBC in Cleveland. And I've been here about 4 years now. And this is actually home for me and my family. But again, as I mentioned, I developed that region weather page 6 or 7 years ago when I left because I knew we didn't have the coverage. And I've kept it going ever since. And this is, again, a hobby of mine. And I tell you, we have a wonderful community. I would not leave it for the world because we share weather. And I've gotten to know so many of you over the last 6 years. And it's just, you know, second family to me as well. We need to have a big coffee party. I'll come visit and we'll have some coffee somewhere and get together. We need to do that sometime. Sherry needs to drive tomorrow from Dyer to Hobart. Sherry, I don't think the roads are going to recover. I really don't. The snow should be done outside of that lake effect, Sherry, so you should be okay in terms of the snow falling. But boy, I don't think the roads are going to get cleaned up. Let me see. When does this system end and when does the next one start? Is this a whole week storm? No, Bianca, this is not a whole week storm. This is going to be two separate storms. The Thursday storm, again, I don't think it's going to impact us like this one is. This one's a pretty good hit. Thursday storm looks a little bit further south and east right now. We'll talk about the Thursday storm tomorrow because I'll be honest, I've been knee deep for the last 7 or 8 hours in this storm and exactly how it's going to behave, not just for us, but for Ohio and the other parts of the Midwest. So we'll see on that. Thank you for the kind words, everyone. That's certainly nice. Yeah, for sure. So the great question by Andrew. So the system moving in is high pressure against the low that's hanging over the Midwest. Yes, Andrew. Let me see if I can zoom out for you so we can look at that. I'm trying to think of a good view here. This should give us a good view of what this looks like. And I'll zoom out to a different viewpoint here. Let's do Great Lakes. So here we go. Here's your Tom Skilling words here. No, I'm going to go Midwest. I don't like that angle at all. So here are your isobars, everybody. The black lines, those are lines of equal pressure. This is what we're dealing with right now. You can see here's the low pressure, the isobars, that shows you the direction that the wind is coming from. So this is out of the north and east. And then that more tightly packed, or the more lines you see, the windier it is, or the stronger that pressure is. So Andrew, to answer your question, high pressure's up here in Minnesota right now. Low pressure is over towards Ohio. You get that kind of gradient in between. That's what's driving our northeast wind. And then as we go through the day tomorrow, watch how it changes. As that low heads away, high pressure heads in, our wind turns more northerly. Lake effect band goes whoop, right back in northwest Indiana. So hopefully that helps. All right, let's see. Brian, calm down. Your eyes are going up. I hope that's to a comment, Brian. I know I get excited about the weather too, but we can see. Let me see. Is there anything else I missed? I'm missing some comments. So if I'm missing a loop or something like that, I'm sorry. And how about we answer 2 more, then I'll get you guys on your way. When do we need to get home from Cincinnati to Crown Point? When's the best time to do that? Says Nicole. Are you in Cincinnati now, Nicole? Because if you are, you're obviously getting your winter storm as well. Best time to do that would probably be Wednesday. Wednesday looks pretty nice. High pressure is going to settle in. We'll see some sunshine. That'll give road crews enough time to clean the roads. If you have to get back sooner than that, I would say the later in the day tomorrow that you can do it, the better. Let's just put it that way. Kristen, wonderful point that you bring up. East-west roads are drifting bad. 3-foot drifts in Newton County. You're absolutely right. With a northerly wind, those east-west roads see the worst drifting in terms of the wind direction causing the drifts over the road. So any east-west roads you want to be careful on. Great call on that. Leanna, I'm not sure. I'm selectively vegan. I have been for 3 years. I'll have meat every now and then, but my wife does a lot of cooking, so it's probably some kind of quinoa mixture or something like that. It's not bad. She's a good cook. I'm just kidding. Andrew, the lake effect bands are highly variable. It depends on how organized it is tomorrow morning. My gut would say a general 3 to 6 inches where it ends up. I don't think we'll go much higher than that because I don't think it'll last much longer tomorrow. But it all depends on where it ends up. That's why we say additional several inches. Oh, Beth got it. Okay. I didn't read your comment earlier, Beth. That's funny. I literally feel like I'm sitting on a couch with you guys. Isobar, is it? Yes, good one, Tony. All right, let's see. I think you should signify the severity of the storm, how many loaves of milk and gallons of milk and bread. Yeah, I got it. This is, again, someone asked me this yesterday. I think this is more about what kind of milk you drink. Is it almond milk, soy milk, or just dairy milk? I don't know what that has to do with anything for sure, but Robin, you're welcome. Andrew asking about Porter County. So you're asking about lake effect in Porter County. Oh, it still depends, Andrew. I mean, realistically, I'd give you a total and it'd be wrong because that lake effect band, it depends on how much moisture it has left with it when it gets back. My gut, again, would say the northern side of Porter County, maybe 2 to 4. I would lean heavier amounts in Lake County, but that could also be Porter County. So let's just go, how about we go 2 to 6 additional inches on top of your 4 to 8 tonight along that lake shore. That's why I've got 6 to 12 in there. I think that should cover it pretty well. Mark can't find cumin in the baking aisle. That's funny. Dave, great question. Driving up from Indy 65 to St. John on Wednesday. Yes. Yeah, we're looking good Wednesday. We are. Darren's going to buy a lot of toilet paper, all the toilet paper. Beth turns it more serious again. She saw multiple cars off the road while driving slow. Thank you for that update, Beth. I appreciate that for sure. Yeah, it's a mess outside. It really is. Any way you put it, it gets worse as you get towards Chicago, but it's bad everywhere, really. Andrew raising the white flag. I totally get you. We're going to use a nice vacation after this, all of it. All right, everyone. I'm going to let you go tonight. I appreciate you joining us for sure. Certainly awesome to have everyone on tonight. Hopefully this helped explain kind of what we've got going on from here. If you missed any of the beginning of the broadcast, this gets posted on our Facebook page, so you can go back and watch it from the beginning. You can fast forward stuff like that because we covered a lot, especially at the beginning of this, and we'll go from there, okay? All right, so from here on out, we've got lake effect potential tomorrow morning. That will last through the afternoon as it shifts to Porter and LaPorte counties. We'll keep an eye on that Thursday storm. I'll get you an update on that tomorrow. And then hopefully we'll start to calm things down a little bit and we'll go quiet from here. All right. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful evening and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.